Way before horses, cattle, or chickens ever set foot on the continent, one animal was already living side by side with people all across North America. And it wasn't just a helper, it was a partner. In fact, it was the only partner. Today, we're going to unpack the incredible story of the dog and its totally unique place in the history of an entire continent.
Okay, so this number, 1, this single digit is the key to our entire story. It represents something pretty remarkable, something that really sets ancient North America apart from the rest of the world. That's right. I mean, think about it. In a massive land just filled with all kinds of wildlife, only a single animal species was ever truly domesticated: the dog. And that, of course, brings up a huge question. Why? The answer reveals something really profound, not just about dogs, but about us too. So, let's find out. All right, to really get to the bottom of that why, we first have to get on the same page about what this relationship actually was. What does it really mean for an entire species to become a partner with humans? So the key thing to get here is that domestication is so much more than just taming one creature. It's this deep, multi-generational process where a whole species is transformed. We're talking changes to their behavior, their bodies, even their DNA, as they get woven into the fabric of human society. Here's a simple way to think about it. You might be able to tame a wild fox to eat from your hand, right? But its kids and its kids' kids, they're still going to be wild. Domestication changes the species itself, and that's exactly what makes the dog story so special on this continent. It was the only animal to make that complete evolutionary jump with people. Now, what's really fascinating is that this partnership was already ancient before it even got to North America. The evidence we have suggests that dogs didn't become domesticated here. Nope, they arrived as established partners, traveling right alongside the first people migrating over from Asia. They were part of one of the greatest journeys in human history, right from the very beginning. And this partnership wasn't just about having a friendly companion around. Dogs had jobs, lots of them. And these jobs made them absolutely essential for human survival. You can almost picture it like a dog's resume. If you were an ancient dog looking to join a human group, these would be your core skills. And trust me, each one of these roles made a huge, tangible difference in people's day-to-day lives. First up, the hunting companion. A dog's senses are just on a whole other level than ours. They can smell and hear things we would completely miss. For a hunting party, that's a total game changer. It means a much better chance of finding food, which means a more stable food supply. In a world without supermarkets, a good hunting dog wasn't a luxury, it was a key to survival. And long before the horse came along and transformed life on the plains, dogs were the original beasts of burden. They could pull something called a travois, which is basically a simple frame used to drag supplies, allowing nomadic groups to carry way more than they could on their own backs. This made them indispensable for any community that was constantly on the move. And at night, a dog's work wasn't even close to done. A single bark could wake up a whole sleeping community, alerting them to danger, whether it was a predator or another group of people, long before anyone would have noticed. They were, quite literally, a living, breathing security system. But the story doesn't stop with all these practical jobs. The archaeological evidence points to something much, much deeper, a bond that went way beyond simple usefulness and into the realm of the emotional and maybe even the spiritual. Just think about this for a second. When archaeologists find an animal that was carefully and deliberately buried, that's a powerful signal. It means this wasn't just a tool to be thrown away when it stopped working. This was an individual who mattered deeply. These burials are maybe our best evidence that dogs had a special place in people's hearts and minds. They were mourned, their passing was marked with some kind of ritual, and that reveals a relationship built not just on work, but on real, genuine affection and respect. And it just makes sense when you think about it, right? Dogs weren't kept in a separate barn or a kennel. They were right there, sharing the fire, sharing the journey, eating the same food. They were completely woven into the daily lives of families. This wasn't just a working relationship, it was true companionship. So this brings us full circle, right back to our central mystery. We've seen just how valuable dogs were, but why were they the only ones to reach this status in all of North America? Well, the answer lies not just in the dog, but in all the other animals on the continent. With all the incredible animals roaming around ancient North America, what was it about the dog that made it so unique that it alone became a domesticated partner? I mean,
the continent was teeming with life. You had massive bison, speedy deer, powerful bears. There were plenty of potential candidates, you'd think. So why didn't any of them make the cut?
Well, the truth is, not every animal is really suited for domestication. Bison, they were just too big and way too aggressive. Deer, too jumpy and solitary. And bears, well, they're powerful predators that you just can't control. Basically, every other species had some kind of key trait that made a true partnership impossible. The dog, on the other hand, had the perfect combination of traits. First, they're naturally social pack animals, so they could fit right into a human pack. They were also flexible and could travel with communities on the move. And crucially, they didn't need special fields or fancy food. They could just live off the scraps of human life. They weren't just a good option. For ancient North Americans, they were really the only option. So in the end, the dog story in ancient North America is a story of partnership. It's a story of two species migrating together, surviving together, and building a world together. It's about hunting, protection, and a deep, deep bond that crossed the species line. And that really is the dog's true legacy. Before any other domesticated animal arrived, the dog stood alone. It was the one and the only animal that had truly become part of the human family across this vast continent. You know, this is a partnership that's thousands upon thousands of years old, built on mutual need, respect, and companionship. And it really makes you wonder, what can this ancient bond teach us about how we live with and relate to the animals that share our world today?